Gordy Rush, of course, of the LSU Sports Radio Network. He's our market manager, our vice president.
The boss man.
He sends us up here. We've been on the award circuit, which we're very thankful for, boss.
Yep.
You and I were up in New York.
We missed T-Bob. T-Bob would have been a hidden legend, so I'm just saying.
I don't want to.
And I know you had a wedding.
I know.
That would have been large.
I know.
T-Bob in
you gotta
Times
do what
Square.
You got to do for your brothers.
Oh, we would have had a videographer on you the whole time.
It was
Trust
good.
me, my wife was mad, too. I mean, she wanted a trip to New York. She
Yeah.
was going to make a trip. You know what, though? All's well that ends
okay.
well. The wedding was great, and Joe Burrow won the Heisman by a record margin, and life is good.
You're as close to this team as anybody. Do you feel that those 2 weeks affected them?
No, I'm more concerned about this week.
Okay.
And I think it's I don't and T-Bob, you're from Atlanta. I will tell you it's one of the tougher bowl
Scoot in so you
destinations.
can get to our Facebook Live stream.
Oh, I'm sorry, man.
Yep. Go
All
ahead.
these techie
Sorry.
guys got this going. I just said a tough week. They've been here a long time, and in downtown Atlanta,
They're spread out.
there's a lot of downtime. I remember the Peach Bowl, and we stayed 2 doors over at the Hilton down there, and I had the same concern that it just kind of sucked the life out of you a little bit. This is different. It's a playoff game.
Yeah.
They're saying and doing all the right things, and of course Ed's the head guy here. No knock against Les, but rarely have you seen Ed and them have a letdown. I'm more worried about them being here a long time with a lot of downtime versus all the things that were the award circuits.
You were down on the field, obviously, for the SEC championship game. There's been some talk about the track, the turf. So
Right.
did you notice anything there?
Well, yeah, I mean, Georgia was slipping all over the place, and then talking to people that kind of were in the know, and I don't keep up with artificial or that sort of turf keep up. They felt like there was an extraordinary amount of pellets down there on the field. Okay? And I'm just like,
What are we doing? What?
I'm like, what? But the truth of it is, I mean, how many times did Georgia
Too
receivers
many pellets, bro.
slip and slide?
Okay,
so,
all right.
I don't know. What do you vacuum up the pellets?
good.
I don't know the scientific side. Was it a problem? It sure was.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
too
the
many
footing was-
people
it was
slipping and
tough,
sliding, and then it reminded me a little bit of Vanderbilt the other way. Now I know Vanderbilt needs a new turf, and it was just worn down. There were too many injuries up there as well too.
Well, there can be no worse field than me and Buja were just talking about a Capital One Bowl 09 versus Penn State.
Oh, jeez.
Where that
Should've
was
played.
just we played in essentially a marshland for that game. Gordy, you watch a lot of film though, and so I want to ask you about this Oklahoma attack, because when you look at LSU, the worst defensive game was Ole Miss, obviously,
Right.
and they do a lot of guard tackle counter. They want to get you. It's like some old concepts and new trappings, right? Jalen Hurts is much better than John Rice Plumlee. Oklahoma are the masters of the guard tackle counter plays and everything that's set up around them. So how do you feel about LSU matching up defensively here? Like, what's the key to stopping that misdirection from Oklahoma?
Well, I think the key again starts on the perimeter. If your defensive backs can handle Lamb and company in man coverage, and you can allocate that +1 to the box,
Yep.
I think you're in a much better place. It's a different sort of spread, and it hurts. They really want to run between the tackles.
Yeah.
Keep in mind how physical he is, and he's more of the hammer. Whereas at Ole Miss, it was a little bit different. They did a little bit. It was more slashing. I go back to the Ole Miss game, and I've talked about the Ole Miss game several times. Is that I felt that LSU came out of the locker room 31-7.
They thought it was over.
70% of the Ole Miss fans went to the Grove.
Yeah.
Grant Delpit was not 100%.
Yeah, he was hurt that night.
I think they had to play him just to get everybody lined up. And the combination of both, they just were not focused. It was the best and worst thing that happened to their defense.
That's true.
And it lit a fire under their ass. They got focused. They got their run fits done. And Jordy and I talked about this one of these shows here. The addition of Maurice Hampton. We
Yes.
talked about it in New York.
Yep.
Maurice Hampton may be the best true free safety in terms of understanding how to be an alley player, meaning inside out, angles. And if Hampton's on the field in some of those nickel positions, you can play Stevens, Delpit, and Chasson.
Wow.
And so
they've gotten real creative with Stevens and Delpit, how they've been used, especially if you look at that pass rush package where there's only one true D lineman on the field. I've seen Caleb on line up at middle linebacker. I've seen Delpit, and you've seen that the last few weeks, and that's why the pass rush has been so successful. Everybody in basketball talks about the era of positionless basketball that we currently live in, right? Where guys, LSU's defense is positionless football.
That's correct.
All of these safeties are
Interchangeable.
linebacker, safety hybrids, and yes, and sometimes you'll play Delpit deep and Stevens in the box. Sometimes Stevens goes Delpit, or as you said, Mo Hampton deep. Let's get Delpit and Stevens in the box to make plays. So Mo Hampton and Cardell Flott's emergences have really opened things up for Aranda, I feel
think
like.
the storyline, excuse me, I'll tell you, in my opinion, is LSU's defense is a hell of a lot better than they performed.
Yeah.
It's more of what we saw against Georgia and A&M, and nobody's going to give the Arkansas game credit, and I get it, right? But the way they played the last 3 weeks is more indicative of who they are.
I agree.
What matchup are you looking forward to most on CD Lamb, Fulton or Stingley?
Yeah, I think that's a great question because Lamb works out of the slot a lot. They love him on the bubble and the high percentage stuff.
Oh, really?
And so here's the argument. If you play Vincent, if you put him on Vincent, the great thing is you can play both zone and man out of it, right? Because he's the slot. That's his natural position.
Yeah.
If you swap them,
You're manned up.
You're manned up.
Yeah.
You're tipping your hand, and you're declaring more times than not. Or is Dave Aranda going to work out of a zone defense, which he's not shown all this year, and where Christian Fulton's going to play the zone in the middle part, or Stingley's going to play that? So you got enough time that maybe you run that curveball. But I think it's a huge matchup. When I think they can handle everybody else on the field. Lamb's long, and they like to catch the ball in space, get the ball in space with him. So do you put in a wrinkle? Do you put in a wrinkle for this game in which you can play zone with Stingley or Fulton playing the nickel? They have not shown that this
Well,
year.
and as far as wrinkles go, it sounds like LSU's, at least if Patrick Queen's comments are to be believed, they are fully bought into this game plan. And you know that Dave Aranda is one of the best game planners in the country. But it is fascinating because Lincoln Riley is one of the best game planners in the country. I mean, he is the Beethoven of the guard tackle counter offense that he has created. Like, he is the master at it. And so not only am I intrigued to see what wrinkles do both sides have planned, but then who will win the battle of the in-game adjustments. Because when you're talking about Riley versus Aranda, you are talking about two elite coordinators going head-to-head.
No, and what Riley's done this year with Hurts, and watch the way this offense has evolved. They were not a spread the run you team with Mayfield and Murray. There was much more freelancing going on. The fact that they're a spread to power run, like what you've talked about with all the counters, and the fact that he's really done a good job making Jalen Hurts a much more effective pocket passer.
Yeah.
That's what jumped off the film at me. He didn't do that at Alabama. He was always half sprints and all the above. He's much more accurate, and he will stay in the pocket. He doesn't have Burrow's pocket presence, but he will hang and let the route develop. And he's got to know. I think Aranda's going to be ultra aggressive and go get him. Really? With all the horses that LSU's got. They're going to get after him a little bit and get after Hurts. Hurts isn't going to run away from you, but he will get north-south and run with a little bit of power to him. And I think LSU's going to go get him.
It's a dangerous proposition because you better get home because CD Lamb can turn into 80 yards real quick.
Which comes back to my first question. I think for LSU to really do what they've done on defense, they've got to be able to hold up in man coverage. So how do they get to it and handle Lamb? And Hurts is still Hurts in a sense. He's more accurate, but he's not.
So the best path
he's
to
not
victory.
Burrow. He's not going to throw at that clip.
The best path to victory is still trying to make them rely on Hurts throwing the ball.
No doubt.
Yes, he can throw the ball very well, and he will still have some success in that department more than Jake Fromm did. But ultimately, if you get them in that position, I think you outpace them.
Well, and real quick, it's almost like a Mike Leach said in mine. If he hits it, okay, so what? Burrow gets the ball.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm going to bet against him having as much accuracy and connection. They can't get in a shootout and beat LSU.
So what happens if they play without Clyde in this offense?
Okay, I think two things that what I do. I go a lot of empty. I go a lot of empty with the young kid and go put him out there on the sideline, and we're going to play 10 on 10. Not to be disrespectful, we're going to play 10 on 10. And they're going to put a linebacker out there, and I'm going to get the numbers.
Well, and what I was wondering is, I wonder how much pass blocking responsibilities you give him.
I don't.
I mean, do you just make this back just a little outlet almost every play where you just leak out and you look for the ball?
You see, I don't get that complicated with them because they haven't used a whole lot of pass protection.
Yeah, sure.
I'm going to go a whole lot of empty, and I'll have some designated runs for Joe. And when I put him in the backfield, I'm going to run a lot of RPOs.
Yeah.
I'm going to put it back in Burrows, and where I'm going to hold the football, and I'm reading the safety. We saw that a touchdown to Marshall in the latter part of the year. You guys, I forget who's that is. What's the guy's name?
Seth Galena
Does a great job
Great
illustrating
breakdowns.
those. And then all of a sudden you put it back in Burrow's hands. If they're going to blitz, they're going to come get the run and try to go +1. Burrow's going to see it and pull it and hit the slant on top of it. So an RPO package with the young backs, and then get them off the football field. Let's play 10 on 10.
Yeah,
Let's
makes
play
sense.
10 on 10, and Burrow can get a couple designated runs. I think Oklahoma is going to play a lot of coverage like Georgia and Auburn did. And if that's the case, Burrow can improvise and
See,
do all
that's
the above.
and that's the damned if you do, damned if you don't situation that Burrow puts you in. He's reached that elite quarterback status where you want to add guys to the rush, you're going to get got because you're opening yourself up. You want to hang back, you're just giving him too much time. You can't cover guys forever.
There was 3 plays against Ole Miss and 2 against Georgia, including the Heisman moment, and there was another one that we illustrated in all this film study where Georgia did everything right. They rushed 3 people.
Yeah.
Burrow saw it, turned it into playground football.
Yeah, the Jamar Chase first touchdown.
That's right. And these
9
receivers, yeah,
seconds.
that one, you're right.
Yeah.
And then the Heisman play, in which all the receivers did, what's his name? Jefferson ran a hitch.
Yeah.
And then he ran. It
Moves to the
if
open
the
area.
quarterback scrambles, short receivers go deep, long receivers come up. They had 2 touchdowns against Ole Miss. You're right about Chase. Chase
Yeah.
was doubled.
Yeah,
Chase
he was,
was
and he just
doubled
threw it
on
to
that
a
first
spot.
The one
touchdown.
against
Just
Ole
Brett
Miss.
Favre.
The one
Yeah,
against
Brett Favre, man.
And if you're going to rush 3, it becomes playground mark.
Yeah.
Playground football. Good luck.
All right.
And Chase and Burrow, to your point, Gordy, have really, and Jefferson too, but they've really developed that scramble chemistry. Where, as you said, they know they're on the same page. They know what
When
to
he gets
expect.
out of the pocket, something good happens.
Well, there's been so many times, as Gordy said, if you're short, you go long. There's so many times there's been like chasing a little hitch, and then all of a sudden he just turns and he's upfield, and the DB, how are you supposed to cover that?
In the
against
Florida
DB?
game.
Is it-
Yeah,
look, I'll
Florida
tell you,
touchdown.
As a former defensive back, I will tell you, that's the worst thing in the world is you play your zone.
Yeah.
You play your coverage.
7 seconds,
And
8
then
seconds.
all of a sudden it breaks down, and then DBs get into panic mode.
Yeah.
And you break responsibility. The double team, Jordy pulls a great play, the touchdown to Chase. They had a double team. They ran a double at Chase. Chase ran across the field, went a little bit further to the right, and then came all the way back to the left. He led him.
Burrow just puts it in a spot.
That was a beautiful
And that's
throw,
what
dude.
Kirby Smart
Unbelievable
essentially
throw.
said, look, bro, I call all the right plays I've never seen, and crap I can do.
All right, the meetings in your office have been really cool the last couple of times because you've been sending us on trips. So hopefully LSU keeps that up. Last time we got, they're going to send you to New York, they're going to send you to Atlanta, or going to New Orleans.
Go
if they
New
go.
Orleans.
Let's
Well,
go, baby.
hopefully we win. I mean, there's so much we can do in New Orleans.
Oh.
I haven't told T-Bob this. You guys know. Obviously you've got a Monday, which we're going to turn into an all-day ESPN deal. Saturday, if the Saints hopefully get a 2 seed, Saturday's going to see a Saints home game.
Oh, wow.
Right,
wow.
and then naturally we should go do something Friday to
Wow.
go kick some up.
Come on.
I'm thinking T-Bob off the bench from Cafe Du Monde might just do
Let's
something.
Oh, that'd be so sick, dude.
Let's go. We're
I'm
live.
something early on
I'm
Friday
in.
morning.
We're
I'm
live
in.
at the Marriott Marquis. Gordy Rush. We're handing away free beer on this OTB.
Yep.
We got
Where?
Etel Business, Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge, Cole Kubelik next to the SEC Network. Thank you, boss. Good
Thanks,
to see
guys.
you. Yes, sir.